The crack. It was supposed to be a normal night. The moon, shining bright and steady, had always been a symbol of calm in the sky. For centuries, humanity gazed at it, creating stories, dreaming about life beyond Earth. But on this night, the moon changed. Something strange was happening, and no one had answers. In an observatory in Chile, Dr. Emily Carter, an astronomer, sipped her coffee as she scanned the moon's surface through her telescope. Her routine checks were usually quiet, almost boring. But tonight, her heart skipped a beat. A crack, long, jagged, and unnatural, was forming on the moon's surface. It wasn't a shadow or a trick of the light. It was real, and it was growing. "David, come here," Emily called out to her assistant, her voice shaking. David rushed to her side, staring into the telescope. His eyes widened in disbelief. This can't be real," he stammered. The crack wasn't just a line. It was glowing faintly, a bluish hue pulsating from within. Emily grabbed her phone and started recording the phenomenon. Within minutes, she sent the footage to international space agencies, hoping someone could explain what was happening. News spread like wildfire. Every major news channel began broadcasting the strange event. People stepped out of their homes to look at the moon, their faces filled with awe and fear. Social media exploded with hashtags like #mooncrack and #EndOffTheWorld. Conspiracy theories ranged from an alien invasion to secret lunar experiments gone wrong. As the world watched, the crack widened. The glowing light intensified, casting an eerie glow over Earth. For the first time in history, every human was looking at the same thing and asking the same question: what's inside the moon? At NASA headquarters, panic erupted. Scientists scrambled to analyze the data. Dr. Raj Patel, a leading astrophysicist, paced the control room, his mind racing. "The moon's structure shouldn't allow this," he muttered. "It's solid rock. There's no logical explanation for a crack like that." But what if it's not just rock? A young engineer suggested hesitantly. Raj froze. He had read theories, wild ones, about the moon being a megastructure, possibly artificial. But those were just stories, right? As the world debated, something unimaginable happened. The crack split open further, and for a moment, it looked like the moon itself was tearing apart. Then, a massive metallic structure emerged from the fissure. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A ship, enormous and ancient, glowing with the same bluish light. The world fell silent. In Tokyo, a child pointed at the TV screen, whispering, "It's a spaceship." In New York, a construction worker dropped his coffee, his jaw hanging open. In a small village in India, elders gathered around a radio, their faces grim with old, forgotten stories of gods and chariots from the stars. Emily couldn't tear her eyes away from the telescope. The ship hovered above the moon's surface, perfectly still. It seemed to hum, emitting a low-frequency sound that resonated across the globe. People reported hearing the hum in their ears, feeling it in their chests. "This is not a natural phenomenon," Emily whispered to herself. "This is intelligent." Before anyone could react, the ship released a bright beam of light toward Earth. It wasn't an attack, but it wasn't comforting either. The beam scanned the planet, moving across continents like it was searching for something or someone. Governments around the world scrambled their militaries. Fighter jets were sent to the moon's orbit. But as they approached, an invisible force pushed them back. The ship seemed to have a protective barrier, impenetrable by human technology. In the chaos, a signal began broadcasting from the moon. It was a series of repeating patterns, a mix of mathematical sequences and strange symbols. Scientists rushed to decode it, but the message was beyond human understanding. On the streets, people panicked. Grocery stores were looted, bunkers were sealed, and survivalists prepared for the worst. But amid the fear, there was also curiosity. Who built the ship? Why was it hidden inside the moon? And most importantly, What did it want? As the hours passed, more ships began to emerge from the crack. Dozens, then hundreds, and finally thousands of them filled the lunar surface, their metallic hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. Each ship was different in design, yet they all shared the same glow and hum, as if they were part of a single massive system. In a quiet moment, Raj stared at the live feed from the moon. His mind returned to a story his grandmother used to tell him, a story about ancient beings who watched over Earth, waiting for the right time to return. He dismissed it as a child, but now he wasn't so sure. "The moon isn't just a satellite," he said aloud. "It's a vault. And whatever is inside, it was never meant to stay hidden forever." The first ship moved, breaking the stillness. It rose above the moon, positioning itself toward Earth. The hum grew louder, shaking buildings and rattling windows. Then, as suddenly as it started, the noise stopped. A message played, loud and clear, in every language known to humanity. "Humanity's test begins now." The screen went black. The world held its breath. What was this test? And were humans ready for it? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: life on Earth would never be the same again. The message. The world had barely recovered from the shock of the moon splitting open when the message appeared. It wasn't just a transmission. It was everywhere, all at once. Every phone screen, television, and digital billboard displayed the same words in every language. Humanity's test begins now. At first, it seemed like a global glitch. But as the message lingered, a chilling realization set in. This wasn't man-made. In a dimly lit control room, deep inside the Pentagon, General Marcus Hale slammed his fist on the table. "What test? Who's testing us?" He barked at the rows of analysts. No one had answers. The alien ships on the moon hovered silently, as if waiting for humanity to figure it out. Meanwhile, in London, an elderly linguist named Dr. Evelyn Grayson watched the repeating message on her laptop. "The phrasing is deliberate," she murmured. "It's not a demand. It's an evaluation." Her assistant looked puzzled. "Evaluation for what?" Evelyn didn't respond. Her eyes narrowed as she scribbled notes, piecing together fragments of forgotten legends. Her intuition told her this wasn't the first time humanity had faced such a test. The world reacts. Across the globe, panic was reaching a boiling point. Power grids flickered and failed as strange electromagnetic pulses rippled through the atmosphere. Cities were plunged into darkness, and the alien ships above the moon began emitting low, rhythmic pulses. It wasn't just a sound. It was a vibration that seemed to seep into people's bones. In the chaos, conspiracy theories ran wild. Some claimed the aliens were here to enslave humanity. Others believed the ships were remnants of ancient gods returning to judge their creations. The most bizarre theory came from a small cult in Siberia, claiming the ships were Orcs, and only the worthy would be taken aboard. As fear grew, so did divisions. Governments argued over whether to engage in combat or attempt communication. The United Nations held an emergency session, but it ended in shouting and finger-pointing. The world was fractured, just as it had always been. But the ships didn't care. They hovered, silent and unmoving, as if waiting for humanity to decide its own fate. The signal. 3 days after the first message, another pulse was sent from the moon. This time, it was a broadcast, a series of mathematical patterns interwoven with strange, harmonic sounds. Scientists across the globe worked feverishly to decode it, but the complexity of the signal was beyond anything they'd ever encountered. In a high-tech lab in Shanghai, Dr. Liang Wei stared at the waveform on his monitor. "It's not just a message," he realized. "It's a map." "A map to what?" his colleague asked. Liang's fingers danced across the keyboard, enhancing the image. The patterns revealed a spiral, one that matched the Milky Way galaxy. But at its center was a blinking point. Earth. "This is where it starts," Liang whispered. "We're the center of something bigger." The machines awaken. As scientists decoded the signal, strange phenomena began to occur on Earth. In remote deserts, ancient monoliths began glowing faintly. Underneath the Atlantic Ocean, a long-dormant machine, buried for millennia, activated, sending tremors across the seabed. At CERN in Switzerland, physicists detected bursts of energy that defied the laws of physics. "These are quantum fluctuations," one of them stammered. "But they're controlled. It's like someone's rewriting the rules of reality." The alien ships above the moon remained still, but their presence seemed to trigger these awakenings. It was as if Earth itself was responding to their arrival. A forgotten past. Evelyn Grayson sat in her dusty library, surrounded by ancient manuscripts and texts. She had found something, an obscure reference in a Sumerian tablet. It spoke of sky guardians who placed the moon as a watchtower over Earth, meant to observe and guide humanity. Her hands trembled as she read aloud. "When the time comes, the guardians will return to test the worth of their creations. Only the united shall ascend." She grabbed her phone and dialed an old colleague, a historian named Dr. Alok Mishra in India. "Alok, the myths. They were never myths. They were warnings." Humanity divided. The signal from the moon began to change. It now included sequences that mimicked human speech, but with a mechanical tone. A new message appeared on screens: "Unite or fall." The world's leaders scrambled to understand the meaning. Some interpreted it as a call for global cooperation, while others viewed it as a threat. Tensions rose as rival nations accused each other of trying to seize alien technology for themselves. In the midst of the chaos, a group of scientists, historians, and linguists formed an independent coalition. They believed the ships weren't here to destroy humanity, but to challenge it. Their theory was simple yet terrifying. The test wasn't about technology or power. It was about humanity's ability to overcome its divisions. The first sign of the test. On the fifth day, the first alien ship above the moon moved. It descended slowly toward Earth, its glowing hull reflecting the sunlight. Panic spread like wildfire as people braced for an attack. But instead of destruction, the ship released a single, small drone. The drone hovered above Earth's atmosphere, scanning and transmitting data. Within hours, it began to project holographic images of human conflicts, wars, genocides, and acts of hatred. The images were shown across the globe, forcing humanity to confront its darkest moments. And then, a final message appeared: "Your history defines you. Your choices shape your future." End scene. The alien ships remained silent, but their test had begun. Humanity was left to grapple with its past, its divisions, and the question that loomed over everyone: could they unite in time, or would they fail the test and face the consequences? Dr. Evelyn Grayson stood at her window, watching the moon glow faintly in the night sky. For the first time, she felt small, just a fragment of a species standing at the edge of something incomprehensible. "We have one chance," she whispered. "One chance to prove we're worthy of the stars." Ancient origins. The alien ships hovered silently above the moon, an unyielding presence that kept the world on edge. It had been a week since the cryptic messages began, and humanity had no clear answers. The test wasn't just a mystery, it was a ticking time bomb. A forgotten clue. In a remote corner of India, Dr. Alok Mishra, a historian specializing in ancient texts, stood in front of a sandstone temple covered in carvings. He had spent decades translating forgotten languages, but now, with the world in chaos, his expertise was in demand. He ran his fingers over an ancient engraving depicting a crescent moon with a beam of light piercing Earth. Beneath it were symbols he had never seen before, but they matched the patterns in the alien signal. This isn't just art," he muttered. "It's a message left by those who knew this day would come." As he translated the symbols, a phrase emerged: "The moon watches. The stars await. Prove your worth or perish in the void." The lost vault. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, a seismic event revealed a hidden structure buried beneath the ice. A multinational team of scientists was sent to investigate. They discovered a massive underground chamber, its walls made of an unfamiliar alloy that glimmered faintly under their flashlights. At the center of the chamber was a pedestal holding a spherical object. It glowed with the same bluish hue as the alien ships. Dr. Ingrid Falk, the team leader, hesitated before placing her hand on the sphere. To her shock, the sphere reacted, projecting a hologram of Earth's solar system. It zoomed in on the moon, showing what appeared to be a network of alien ships lying dormant beneath its surface. Ingrid's voice shook as she whispered, "The moon wasn't just a watchtower. It's a vault, a fortress hiding something far bigger than we imagined." Pieces of the puzzle. Dr. Evelyn Grayson, now working with Dr. Mishra and Dr. Falk, connected the dots. Humanity's myths, of gods descending from the skies, of great floods, of fire raining from the heavens, weren't mere stories. They were fragments of a warning left behind by ancient beings. Evelyn explained to the group, if the moon is a vault, then the test isn't about technology or war. It's about whether humanity can rise above its nature, greed, violence, and division. Our history has been recorded, and now we're being judged. As the pieces fell into place, Evelyn recalled an obscure legend from Mesopotamian texts, the story of the Keepers. These beings, described as guardians of knowledge and power, placed humanity on a path toward enlightenment or destruction, depending on its choices. The test escalates. As these revelations surfaced, the alien ships above the moon began to change. Their glow intensified, and one by one, they started to move. Thousands of smaller vessels broke off from the larger ships, descending toward Earth. Panic swept across the globe. Were these ships here to attack, to observe, to punish? No one knew. But as the ships descended, they did something unexpected. They hovered over landmarks tied to humanity's greatest achievements and darkest moments. Above the Great Wall of China, a hologram showed scenes of unity and resilience. Over Auschwitz, images of war and genocide flashed, forcing humanity to confront its capacity for both creation and destruction. The ships were holding up a mirror to humanity, and the reflection was as inspiring as it was horrifying. A signal from the stars. Back at the Antarctic site, the glowing sphere pulsed with energy, sending a beam of light into the sky. It traveled faster than anything humanity had ever seen, vanishing into deep space. Dr. Falk's team was baffled. "Where is it going?" someone asked. Ingrid replied grimly, "It's a signal, a beacon. It's summoning something, or someone, the hidden truth." As the world grappled with the alien ship's judgment, a rogue hacker group called Phantom Circuit leaked classified files from a global coalition of governments. The files contained evidence that humanity's leaders had long suspected the moon was artificial. High-resolution scans and ancient texts hinted at its mechanical origins, but the information had been buried to avoid global panic. One of the leaked documents referenced an experiment conducted during the Apollo missions. Astronauts had left seismic sensors on the moon, and during one mission, they deliberately crashed a module into its surface. The moon had rung like a bell for hours, proof that it wasn't solid rock. The moon isn't just a satellite, the hacker's message read. It's the first clue, and we've ignored it for too long. The child of the stars. As the alien test escalated, one person emerged as an unlikely key to humanity's survival. 11-year-old Ava Torres, a quiet girl from a small town in Mexico, began having strange dreams the moment the moon cracked open. She described visions of blueprints, star maps, and symbols that matched the alien signal. Her parents, terrified, took her to a local university, where she met a linguist who recognized the patterns from ancient carvings. Dr. Evelyn Grayson was called in to meet Ava. The girl's drawings were eerily accurate, maps of the moon's hidden ships, symbols from long-lost civilizations, and even a depiction of the glowing sphere from Antarctica. "How do you know this?" Evelyn asked gently. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I don't know. I just feel it, like I've seen it before, in another life. Evelyn realized Ava wasn't just an ordinary child. She might be the child of the stars mentioned in ancient prophecies, the one destined to unlock humanity's potential. End scene. As the alien ships continued their silent judgment, Ava's dreams became more vivid. She spoke of a final test, one that would determine whether humanity could ascend or fall into oblivion. Dr. Grayson, Dr. Mishra, and Dr. Falk formed a team to protect Ava and decipher her visions. But time was running out. The moon's ships weren't waiting forever, and somewhere in the depths of space, the signal from Antarctica had reached its destination. The test was no longer about survival. It was about proving that humanity was worthy of its place among the stars. The first trial. The alien ships hovered over Earth, casting long shadows that stretched across continents. Their silence was deafening, their presence suffocating. Humanity waited, holding its collective breath for what would come next. Then, without warning, the sky turned dark, not from an eclipse, but from the ships projecting an immense energy field over the planet. The Great Energy Veil. The field wasn't visible, but its effects were immediate. Power grids flickered and died. Satellites stopped transmitting. Planes grounded themselves mid-flight, forced down by an unseen force. Humanity's advanced technology, the very thing it prided itself on, was rendered useless. The world was thrown back into a pre-industrial era in an instant. At first, the darkness brought chaos. In New York, crowds stormed grocery stores, fearing the end was near. In Tokyo, people huddled together under the dim glow of lanterns. Across the globe, fear transformed into survival instinct, and neighbors turned against each other. But for some, this wasn't just a random disaster. It was the first trial. Ava's vision. Ava Torres, the young girl whose dreams seemed to connect her to the alien presence, woke up screaming. Her parents rushed to her side, but she wasn't afraid. She was determined. It's a test, she whispered to Dr. Evelyn Grayson, who had been monitoring her closely. They want us to prove we can adapt, but not just survive. We have to work together. Evelyn and her team scrambled to interpret Ava's visions. Her latest drawings depicted interconnected circles, pulsing with lines of energy. It looked like a network, a map of unity, not isolation. The aliens weren't just testing humanity's endurance. They were testing its ability to cooperate on a global scale. A trial of unity. The energy field disrupted communication, making it nearly impossible for nations to coordinate. Yet, in some places, the trial sparked unlikely alliances. In the Arctic, where the field caused rapid melting of ice caps, Russian and American researchers worked side by side to evacuate coastal villages. In Brazil, deforestation stopped as locals banded together to preserve the Amazon rainforest, which seemed untouched by the alien energy field. Scientists theorized that the forest's unique biodiversity might hold the key to understanding the trial. Meanwhile, in cities, engineers and inventors rose to the challenge, creating makeshift energy systems using resources unaffected by the alien interference. Humanity was innovating under pressure, but time was running out. The countdown begins. In the skies above, the alien ships released another pulse. This time, it came with a message. 87% fail, 13% advance. The cryptic statement sent waves of fear across the globe. What did it mean? Were those percentages humanity's chances of survival, or was it a warning of how many had already failed? Dr. Raj Patel, the astrophysicist working with Evelyn, theorized the numbers referred to how many regions were cooperating versus acting selfishly. They're watching us, evaluating us, he said grimly. This isn't just a test of survival, it's a test of our morality. The defenders. As the trial unfolded, strange humanoid machines descended from the ships. These machines were sleek, humanoid in shape, and made of a material that seemed to shimmer like liquid metal. They didn't attack or speak. Instead, they observed, standing silently in areas where humanity's worst behaviors were unfolding: wars, riots, and acts of greed. But in regions where cooperation flourished, the machines behaved differently. They emitted a soft hum and projected holograms showing humanity's achievements, images of great inventions, acts of compassion, and moments of unity. It was as if they were reinforcing the idea that humanity could rise above its flaws. Ava's key. Ava's visions grew more intense. She began speaking in languages she had never learned, some of which matched ancient texts discovered by Dr. Mishra. One night, she woke up in a trance, drawing an intricate design that resembled the alien energy field enveloping Earth. Evelyn and Raj studied the drawing, realizing it was a blueprint for neutralizing the energy field. "She's not just connected to them," Evelyn said. "She's part of this test. They're guiding her, or she's guiding us." The team worked tirelessly to decode Ava's drawings. They discovered that the field could be disrupted, not with advanced technology, but through synchronization of human effort. It required cities, villages, and individuals to generate specific patterns of electromagnetic energy through unified actions. In simpler terms, humanity had to act as one. The first signal of success. In a remote village in Africa, a small group of children, unaware of the trial's stakes, formed a human chain to rescue animals trapped in floodwaters caused by the energy field. Their simple act of selflessness created a ripple effect as the nearby alien machine emitted a burst of light. Across the world, similar scenes began to unfold. Communities shared resources, rival factions called truces, and nations sent aid to one another despite strained relations. These moments of unity seemed to weaken the energy field, and for the first time, the alien ships above the moon shifted slightly, as if acknowledging the progress. End scene. The trial was far from over, but humanity had taken its first step. The energy field began to flicker, allowing brief bursts of power to return to certain areas. In the sky, the ships emitted another pulse, this time showing the new message. First phase complete. Continue. Dr. Evelyn Grayson watched the sky with a mixture of hope and dread. The test wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that humanity could be more than its worst moments. But the alien ships weren't done, and the stakes were only getting higher. Ava, clutching her latest drawing, looked up at Evelyn with wide, unblinking eyes. "The next trial is coming," she said softly, "and it's going to be harder." The moon glowed faintly, its cracked surface a constant reminder that humanity was under judgment. The world was united, but was it enough? Only the next trial would reveal the answer. Unity or extinction? The faint glow from the moon cast an eerie light on the alien ships as they shifted into a new formation. It was as if they were preparing for something far greater. The energy field that had engulfed Earth began to stabilize, but it didn't dissipate. Instead, it morphed into something more ominous, a grid-like pattern that covered the entire planet, pulsating with the same rhythmic hum as the ships. A new message appeared on every screen, hologram, and reflective surface. Second trial. Defend your world. Alone you fall. Together you rise. The invasion begins. The trial escalated in ways no one could have anticipated. From the alien ships above the moon, metallic pods began descending toward Earth. When they landed, they unfolded into biomechanical machines, sleek and insect-like, with glowing cores that pulsed in sync with the grid. These machines, later called the Wardens, were unlike anything humanity had ever faced. They were fast, adaptive, and seemingly invincible. Their mission wasn't destruction, it was domination. They sought control of key locations, power plants, water sources, and communication hubs. Humanity's survival depended on stopping them, but conventional weapons were useless. Bullets ricocheted off their shimmering exoskeletons, and explosives only slowed them down momentarily. In New Delhi, a squad of soldiers fought desperately to protect a water purification facility. As they were pushed back, a young engineer named Priya Singh noticed something peculiar. The wardens hesitated when exposed to certain frequencies of sound. It wasn't much, but it was a clue. The global resistance. As the wardens spread across the planet, humanity had no choice but to unite. The first attempts were chaotic. Militaries acted independently, and governments refused to share resources. But Ava Torres, guided by her mysterious connection to the alien presence, became a beacon of hope. In one of her visions, Ava saw a symbol, a spiral made of interconnected lines. Evelyn recognized it immediately. It was a mathematical representation of resonance, the key to synchronization. Ava explained that humanity's only chance was to create a global resistance, not through brute force, but by harnessing the energy grid itself. Dr. Raj Patel and a team of scientists worked tirelessly to decode the grid's patterns. They discovered that the grid wasn't just an obstacle, it was a tool. If humanity could align its efforts and create a unified electromagnetic signature, it could disrupt the Warden's connection to the alien ships. But to achieve this, every nation had to cooperate, sharing knowledge, resources, and manpower. A battle of willpower. In the streets of Rio de Janeiro, former rivals, gangs, and police forces joined hands to create barricades against the advancing Wardens. In Tokyo, engineers developed sound-based weapons inspired by Praya's discovery. In Nairobi, scientists worked with tribal leaders to use the natural resonances of the Earth itself to create disruptions in the grid. Each act of resistance was small, but together, they began to make a difference. The Wardens, while still powerful, started showing signs of disarray. Their movements became less coordinated, their attacks less precise. However, the aliens weren't making it easy. The ships above the moon sent reinforcements, larger, more advanced Wardens with abilities to adapt to the Resistance's tactics. Time was running out. The cost of unity. Despite their progress, humanity paid a heavy price. Cities fell, lives were lost, and the strain of global cooperation threatened to fracture alliances. In Paris, a Warden attack destroyed a refugee center, leading to riots that nearly undid weeks of unity. But Ava, through her growing connection to the alien grid, delivered a chilling warning. "They're watching how we respond to loss," she told Evelyn. "The test isn't just about fighting back. It's about staying united when everything falls apart." Her words spurred a renewed effort. Leaders broadcast messages of hope, urging their people to fight not just for survival, but for the idea that humanity could be better. The alien grid began to reflect these efforts, its pulsations growing more erratic, as if it was responding to humanity's determination. The turning point. In Antarctica, where the glowing sphere was first discovered, Ingrid Falk and her team made a breakthrough. They found that the sphere wasn't just a map, it was a key. When activated, it could send a signal strong enough to disrupt the grid entirely. But activating it required massive amounts of energy and perfect synchronization across the planet. The Resistance mobilized. Praya and her engineers worked to modify existing power plants to feed into the grid. Raj Patel coordinated with scientists worldwide to ensure the timing was precise. Ava, now seen as a symbol of hope, guided them through her visions, drawing symbols that revealed the final steps. The final stand. The Wardens launched an all-out assault, targeting the locations critical to activating the sphere. In Moscow, soldiers and civilians fought side by side to protect a power plant. In Johannesburg, a group of teenagers armed with makeshift weapons held off a swarm of Wardens long enough for engineers to stabilize a relay tower. The most intense battle unfolded in Antarctica, where Ingrid and her team worked under the looming shadow of an enormous Warden. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, a coalition of fighters from different nations arrived. Pilots, soldiers, and scientists working together to protect the key to humanity's survival. End scene. As the final pieces fell into place, the grid shimmered and began to collapse. The sphere in Antarctica pulsed with light, sending a beam into the sky that reached the moon. The alien ships above Earth paused, their lights dimming. The wardens froze mid-attack, their glowing cores extinguishing one by one. The grid dissolved, and the alien ships emitted one last message. Second phase complete. The final trial awaits. Ava, exhausted but resolute, whispered, "We're not done yet." As the moon glowed faintly once more, humanity prepared for the ultimate test. What lay ahead was unknown, but for the first time, they faced it as one people, united by the hope that they could prove themselves worthy of the stars. The secret weapon. Humanity barely had time to breathe after the second trial. The alien ships hovering above the moon shifted into a new configuration, forming a massive spiral pattern that seemed to stretch beyond the visible spectrum. The silence that followed was unnerving, ominous. Everyone knew the final trial was coming, but the aliens remained silent. Then, Avatoris, the child at the center of humanity's strange connection to the aliens, woke from another vision, her voice trembling but clear. "The final trial is hidden inside the moon. We have to unlock the source." The hidden core. Back in Antarctica, the glowing sphere emitted faint pulses, pointing toward the moon. Dr. Ingrid Falk and her team deciphered its movements, realizing that the sphere wasn't just a key, it was part of a larger system. "The moon itself is the heart of the test," Ingrid declared during a global conference. "If we don't unlock its core, the test cannot be completed and will fail." The challenge was immense. Humanity had never sent a manned mission to the moon in the middle of a global crisis, and now, with the alien grid still partially active, any attempt to launch a spacecraft was risky. But failure wasn't an option. World leaders put aside their differences, pooling resources to assemble a crew of the best scientists, engineers, and pilots from around the globe. The mission was named Operation Lunar, a crew for all humanity. The chosen crew represented the best of humanity. Captain Sarah Quinn from the United States, a decorated astronaut known for her quick thinking and unshakable resolve. Dr. Alok Mishra, the historian who had unearthed critical knowledge about the ancient myths surrounding the moon. Priya Singh, the young engineer whose work on sound-based weaponry had turned the tide in the second trial. Commander Ivan Volkov, a Russian cosmonaut who had survived a near-fatal mission years ago, earning him the nickname Iron Ivan. And Avatoris, the child whose visions had guided humanity through the trials so far. Despite her age, she insisted she had to go. "The answers are waiting for me there," she told Evelyn. The journey to the moon. The spacecraft, named Unity, launched under the eyes of billions. It was humanity's last hope, and everyone knew it. As Unity broke through the atmosphere, the alien grid flickered violently, as if resisting the intrusion. On board, the crew felt the pressure of the entire planet resting on their shoulders. As they approached the moon, the spiral formation of the alien ships parted, allowing Unity to pass. It was as if the aliens were granting them permission to proceed. But why? The lunar vault. Unity landed near the massive crack that had first revealed the alien ships. The landscape was otherworldly. Jagged, glowing lines crisscrossed the lunar surface, pulsing with faint light. The crew descended cautiously, following Ava's guidance as she pointed toward the fissure. "This way," she said, her voice eerily calm. Inside the crack, they discovered a massive chamber carved into the moon itself. Its walls were inscribed with symbols and patterns matching those found on Earth's ancient artifacts. At the center of the chamber was a colossal structure, a sphere far larger than the one in Antarctica, its surface shimmering with alien energy. Dr. Mishra stepped forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is it, the source of everything." The revelation. As Ava approached the sphere, it reacted to her presence, emitting a soft hum that filled the chamber. She placed her hand on its surface, and the chamber came alive. Holograms filled the air, showing scenes of humanity's history, wars, triumphs, failures, and acts of kindness. It was a complete record of Earth's civilization, as if the moon had been watching for millennia. Then, a new scene appeared. A massive fleet of alien ships, far larger than those above the moon, advancing toward the solar system. These ships were different, hostile, dark, and brimming with destructive energy. The test isn't just for us, Captain Quinn realized. It's a preparation for something bigger. The sphere emitted a final message, this time in a language Ava somehow understood. Unlock the Armada. Defend your world. Prove your unity or face extinction. The final lock. The crew realized the ships hidden within the moon weren't just observation vessels. They were a defensive fleet, built by the ancient beings who had once guided humanity. But activating them required a specific key, a genetic signature encoded into Ava's DNA. I was born for this, Ava whispered as she stepped into a platform that rose toward the sphere. Her connection to the aliens wasn't random. It was engineered, a failsafe left behind by humanity's mysterious ancestors. As Ava's DNA unlocked the sphere, the entire moon began to tremble. The alien ships above shifted again, aligning into a massive network that connected with the hidden fleet inside the moon. One by one, the dormant ships began to awaken, their glowing cores lighting up like stars. A new enemy. Just as humanity activated its hidden armada, sensors aboard Unity detected a disturbance at the edge of the solar system. The hostile fleet from Ava's vision was real, and it was approaching fast. Back on Earth, Dr. Raj Patel and Evelyn Grayson watched in horror as telescopes captured the approaching threat. The ships were unlike anything seen before, monstrous constructs that radiated an energy signature far more advanced than anything humanity had encountered. The moon's armada began to rise, forming a defensive barrier around Earth. For the first time, humanity had a chance to fight back. But the test wasn't over. The final message from the sphere echoed in Ava's mind. Unity will be your shield. Division will be your doom. End scene. As the moon's armada prepared for battle, the crew of Unity returned to their ship, their mission far from over. The alien fleet loomed on the horizon, a stark reminder that the test was not just about humanity's survival, but about its place in the cosmos. Ava, now connected to the alien network, looked out at the stars. "They're coming," she said, "but we're ready." The fate of Earth hung in the balance. The final trial had begun. The final awakening. The moon's armada hovered in formation, its ships glowing like a constellation brought to life. Earth's first true line of defense was awakening, but the countdown to the invasion was relentless. At the edge of the solar system, the hostile alien fleet loomed closer, moving with a terrifying precision that defied anything humanity had ever seen. Ava's connection. On board Unity, Ava Torres sat quietly, her eyes closed as streams of alien symbols and patterns danced across her mind. She wasn't just unlocking the moon's secrets. She was connected to its very essence, a living bridge between humanity and its ancient protectors. "We're not alone in this," she murmured, her voice resonating with a strange, otherworldly tone. "The moon holds more than ships. It holds knowledge." Dr. Evelyn Grayson, monitoring Ava closely, realized what she meant. "The moon isn't just a vault for weapons," she said. "It's a repository of everything humanity needs to survive, if we can learn to understand it in time." The looming invasion. On Earth, telescopes tracked the invading fleet's advance. It was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Ships the size of continents, with surfaces that seemed to shift and ripple like living organisms. Their energy signatures were off the charts, far surpassing anything the moon's armada could counter. General Marcus Hale, coordinating Earth's defenses from a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, grimly addressed the world's leaders. "Our planet has never faced a threat like this. If we don't stand united now, it's over." For the first time in history, every nation agreed. Resources were pooled, and humanity prepared to fight as one. Space stations were repurposed into command centers, and remaining military forces were retooled to work in harmony with the moon's awakened fleet. The moon's heart. Back on Unity, Ava's connection deepened. She guided the crew to the moon's hidden core, a massive crystalline structure buried beneath the surface. It wasn't just a power source. It was a consciousness, a fragment of the ancient beings who had built the moon. As Ada approached the core, it reacted to her presence, projecting an image of a humanoid figure made of shimmering light. The figure spoke, its voice both alien and familiar. "You are the inheritors," it said. "Our creation, forged to protect this world. But unity was always the test. Only through your harmony can you wield the power of the Armada." The core revealed the truth. The moon's fleet was incomplete. To unlock its full potential, humanity needed to synchronize its energy with the alien grid. This required every human on Earth to contribute, not through technology, but through collective intent, a singular focus on survival and unity. The signal of unity. Using global communication systems, leaders and scientists broadcast Ava's message to every corner of the planet. People were asked to gather in groups, to focus their thoughts and emotions on a single goal: protecting Earth. The concept seemed impossible. How could billions of people align their minds? But as the invading fleet drew closer, desperation united the masses. In cities, villages, and remote outposts, people lit candles, sang songs, and held hands, channeling their fear and hope into a shared purpose. The alien grid, once a symbol of oppression, began to pulse in rhythm with the collective energy of humanity. Onboard Unity, Ava's connection to the core intensified. The moon's fleet responded, their glowing hulls radiating brighter than ever. The Armada was ready, but so was the enemy. The battle begins. The hostile fleet entered the solar system, its massive ships blotting out the stars. The moon's Armada surged forward, meeting the invaders in a dazzling clash of light and energy. Earth watched as the two forces collided, their battle unfolding in the silence of space, but felt in the hearts of every human below. The moon's ships fought valiantly, their advanced technology holding its own against the invaders. But the hostile fleet adapted quickly, deploying smaller, faster ships that began to outmaneuver the Armada. For every enemy destroyed, two more appeared. The odds were shifting. On board Unity, Captain Sarah Quinn made a bold decision. "We need to take the fight to them," she declared. "If we can disrupt their command ship, the rest might fall apart." The crew, led by Ava's guidance, piloted Unity toward the largest enemy vessel. The ship's surface rippled like liquid metal, bristling with alien weapons. It was a suicide mission. But they had no choice. The final awakening. As Unity approached the enemy flagship, Ava reached out with her connection to the moon's core. The crystalline structure responded, channeling its energy through her and into the Armada. The ships glowed brighter, their movements synchronized perfectly, as if they were no longer individual vessels but a single entity. The moon itself began to change. The glowing fissure widened, and from its depths emerged a colossal structure. A ship so massive it dwarfed even the enemy fleet. It was the final piece of the moon's hidden power, the Guardian Arc, designed to turn the tide of the battle. With Ava acting as its conduit, the Guardian Arc unleashed a beam of energy that tore through the enemy ranks. The hostile fleet faltered, their ships disintegrating under the Arc's overwhelming power. The flagship, however, remained, its core glowing with an ominous red light. The last sacrifice. Aboard Unity, the crew prepared for one final strike. Ava, her connection to the alien network now complete, guided them toward the enemy flagship's core. "We have to destroy it from within," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos around her. Unity breached the flagship's defenses, navigating through its labyrinthine interior. As they reached the core, the ship's walls closed in, attempting to crush them. Ava, her energy intertwined with the Guardian Arc, unleashed a final surge of power, holding the walls at bay. Captain Quinn activated the ship's self-destruct sequence, ensuring the core's destruction. "It's been an honor," she said, her voice steady as the countdown began. Unity detonated, taking the enemy flagship with it. The shockwave rippled through the invading fleet, shattering their coordination. The moon's Armada seized the moment, eliminating the remaining ships. A new dawn. As the dust settled, the alien grid dissolved, and the moon's fissure began to close. The Guardian Ark returned to its hidden chamber, its mission complete. Earth was safe. For now. Humanity emerged from the trial forever changed. The test had forced them to confront their flaws, to unite in ways they had never imagined. Ava, now revered as a symbol of hope, stood with Evelyn Grayson, watching the moon from Earth. The test wasn't just about survival, Ava said softly. It was about becoming more than we were. In the night sky, the moon shone brighter than ever, a reminder of the challenge humanity had overcome, and the responsibility they now bore as guardians of their world and the cosmos beyond.